Hi, everyone. Today, we are going to explain our project. We are the Black Jaguar team. Our project consists on a plugin that retrieves information from a social network. So in this case, we will be using Twitter for the example. So basically, OAC plus our plugin will be equal to customer business insights. So let's get started. Why a social media plugin? So basically, these days, every social media has a very important role on the business decisions, right? It doesn't matter if we are talking like client to client, business to business, or business to client, etc. So one positive or negative tweet can have a very impactful message into the company, right? Even in the stock market or in the company sales. So we can take an example from Etsy and a tweet from Elon Musk that he tweeted recently. I kinda love the Etsy. Sorry. So Etsy company got an unexpected boost of 8%, right, in just one day. So what does it means? That every single tweet, it doesn't matter if it's a really famous, but can have a very impactful meaning on the company. So if this were like negative, the company sales wouldn't be like up, right? Will be like down. So the minimum requirements or of our project is basically start with just Twitter, because our goal it's basically take not just Twitter, but Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, etc. So we are basically for this use case, we'll have like one hashtag per request and n number of tweets. We will be using one algorithm, the lexicon-based sentimental analysis. This algorithm, the disadvantage is that it has an accuracy of 50%. The advantage is that it was really easy to implement. So because we just have like 1 week to build this setup, we just have to, we decided to take this one, and then later if the project succeeds, we can just take an improved algorithm, the logarithm regression algorithm. And for database, we opt to use an ATP as database because of the high volume capacity of simple transactions. So because we will fetch, for example, in this case, we will fetch 1,000 tweets because of the example, right? But customer can actually retrieve millions of tweets, right? From a period range of date time. So what about the architecture diagram? So at first we wanted something fast to deploy, security in mind, and low cost. So basically pay as you go. So the best fit for it will be Oracle functions. So basically the actor will be accessing the OC console, creating the OAC instance, enable the plugin. The plugin will make a pull request to this API gateway, then we'll trigger this Oracle function. The Oracle function will have an image saved here in the register. Once we run the image from here, the script based on Python will be run and will retrieve the credentials to access the database. So basically, once the database is filled, because the Oracle function were triggered, the customer can proceed to access from the OAC to the OAC data plane that we commonly use it, right? And obviously we have the VCN, the security list, the row table, and the EM policies. In a later time, I will explain. But for this moment, I will start to fetch the request because it takes like 1 minute each. So for example, we will use the first one, we will fetch Amazon. We will fetch 3 companies, Amazon, Microsoft, and the other one. Let's first fetch Amazon, one 1,000 tweets. And let's keep moving because it takes a little longer than 1 minute. Okay, what about the algorithms? Like I said, we are using TextLog because of the easy implementation, but the bad is that the accuracy is 50%. It's not a very well accuracy, right? So we have another one, the logistic regression, that the accuracy basically it's about 82%. So here is the table of the values of how it's actually hitting the positive, I mean the accuracy ratio, right? Okay, let's keep it moving. So this is an example of the OAC in action. Basically, we have retrieved multiple hashtags: Adidas, Fila, Nike, Puma, and Reebok. So we have basically these tweets, and we can see that from each hashtag company, we can see that in Reebok, there is more positive tweets than the Fila company ratio, right? So obviously talking about percentages, but we have like an idea of how the social media tweets have like a impactful meaning. So on Adidas, we can have like, we can think of one of the third are like negative ones, right? On Reebok, one of the fourth, one of fourth. Okay, so the future enhancements of this project will be like incorporate, like I said, more multiple social media. So Facebook, YouTube, even Instagram. So the future enhancements also will be replace the existing text block model with the implemented logistic regression. So also, because we don't have much time, the UI, we didn't implement it, but basically all the backend, it's set up now. So we can just like develop the UI plugin and make the pull request. So another enhancement will be the architecture, because we will be using the logistic regression. We will need like additional resources, because this algorithm will need to save or train the model, right? So we will need probably another database private for the backend, so we can like train the model, and then for each customer we can like reuse that model. And even we will need like more resources, but CPU load. So maybe we can instead of using Oracle functions, we can leave like one fully VM just to handle this workload. And then last but not least, experiment with advanced machine learning approaches, including neural networks, LCTM, to make the accuracy of the text sentimental analysis more accurate. Okay. Well, so I will explain the architecture in detail. So let's go first into the API gateway, because we already know OAC. We will skip that part. And because we didn't do the UI, obviously we will start with the API gateway. So as you can see now, the retrieve of Amazon, it's done. So if I can search Amazon, you will see obviously that Amazon, it's everywhere because of the search, right? So, oh my God, this takes too much. So meanwhile, I will proceed then with Microsoft. And hit enter. Okay, meanwhile, let's come back and start with the API gateway exploration. So as you can see, I obviously created a HAX compartment and a gateway. This is the very first entry point of this system. So here, as you can see, I obviously created a subnet as well. And if we go into deployments, I have created 2 deployments. Why? Because the first one, I was testing a very basic, simple mapping from this gateway to an Oracle function. So basically the first one, if I open, well, just for security reasons, I will not open it. But this one, I tested it to print hello world. Once I print the hello world, obviously I took a better approach and developed our code that it's basically the plugin. If we open the plugin, we can see like additional information and basically these spikes that obviously we are like using intensively because we are like making the pull request. Okay, so this is the first very end entry point. If we hit edit, we will see in roads that we choose, for example, which resource will trigger this mapping. So whenever the pull request reach until this, it will trigger this Oracle function that I have obviously created. Later on, I will explain. And if you can see the social media, it's basically, okay, the previous call happened, but if I come again, you can see the endpoint, it's here, retrieve social media. So we can proceed now to finally retrieve, instead of Microsoft, Facebook. Okay, come again, but as you can see, here is the endpoint matched with this. And it will trigger the Oracle app and the plugin function name. So then the API gateway is covered. Let's go into the function. The function here is, I have two functions. Obviously, the test one, because we have like, I here have like two gateways, two deployments. So the first deployment test will go into the test function. Obviously, the second one will go into the plugin second option, right? If we go into here, we will see basically the function, right? It's just like the API gateway will trigger the function. This function, obviously, will have to fetch the image, and obviously we'll have here all the image that we were testing in the register. So here, if we go into the containers artifacts, we can see that the plugin register plugin, here are all the versions that we have tested. Yeah, there is so many because obviously we are not an experts and we did like so many testing, right? And then obviously once the function was triggered, to connect to the database, we have to create key vaults to store our secrets. So here we are, Oracle vault. If we go into here, no. On secrets, if you can see, we have all the necessary information encrypted to fetch from the Oracle function to enable to push all the information into the database. Okay, so basically it's like running the function, retrieving the tweets, then we have the tweets and fill the tweets into the database, and obviously getting the secrets from here, right, with the OC. And once we have that, obviously here we have like the database, and yeah, that's it. The database it's filled. So let's proceed with the setup of the VCN. The VCN, basically, we have created a VCN with a public subnet because we want the call to be accessible by outside world. So basically, the default security list, we have to create a TCP with this port open so we can make a pull request. But because of this purpose, we have to make it reachable to whatever port, because the pull request, we didn't set up any SSL or any encryption for this testing purposes, right? So this is the default security list. In order to this be accessible from the outside world, I have created an internet gateway. So this internet gateway will help us to access. So basically, be able to make this request, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible. And basically, yeah, I think that's it. I believe the CV are blocked. What else? What else? The security list, row table, and finally the EM policies. Okay, so I have created dynamic groups because the API gateway and the functions will serve as a principal to authorize. So basically what I have created here is said, okay, the resource API gateway in this compartment will be able to serve as a dynamic group. So as well as the function in this compartment. Once we have created the dynamic group, we created the policy, obviously func policy that we have anything. So basically what it says, allow the group dynamic, the dynamic group of this, the previously that I showed to you guys, to use the secret family in this compartment. So basically can access the vault without authorization because the function will serve as a principal, right? So these are not necessary, but this is basically the one that is like necessary because of the secret family takes like all about secrets, you know? And if we go into federation, we have obviously here created the Aura hacks, the group mapping. Yeah, so what else, what else? We have the users, we have the federation, the identity, and yeah, and that's it. So now, because we have completed the three searches, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft, my friend Raul will show you how to build a dashboard once the data is filled into the database. So he will present his screen. Let me stop sharing mine. Okay, so Raul, we are seeing your screen. As you can see, we have a previous connection named Hector or Hacks. He will use that connection to create the data set of the data that we previously fetched from Twitter, parse into the sentimental data, and finally fill the database with the table, right? So what will Raul do? It's basically build a diagram to show you which companies has the best Twitter rating, right? Because you as a company, for example, if you were Microsoft, you want to be if the people are like posting or liking your products, right? If I don't know, your products are like having a good impact, right? So we will be using Amazon, Microsoft, and Facebook. Okay, what Raul is doing is filtering by post hashtag. And as you can see, we have Amazon with neutral. Obviously, neutral, it's like the most dominant, but as you can see, the negative from the positive, the correlation, it's almost the same. Well, not that much. For example, from Facebook, as we know, we have been having many troubles with Facebook because of the policies of about if Facebook is seeing our data. So their correlation about the negative from the positive, it's kind of equals, right? So comparing with Microsoft that has like the less than the half, so we have like a more correlation, right? So if we go into the Amazon, obviously it's like a third or less than the correlation, right? So in this case, we can see that we can have a conclusion of how our company it's seen outside world, right? If we are like a company that sells, I don't know, clothes, and so many people it's talking about our for cloth quality, it will have a really good impact, right? We can improve the quality of the clothes, or even we can improve the logistic of how that clothes it's delivered, whatever. You can have a ton of possibilities. But for this, we conclude that what you can do with our Turing plugin based, and yeah, that's it. Thank you for your time.